And it just was something that was not in my control, and life is not in your control.
We do have a home. We have a land. Let's cherish that.
We have one another to cherish one another.
We are Jews, we just got here maybe a little bit slower.
And we just have the Masorah that is 2,500 years old.
Everyone's process is different because it's something I think we all go through to different extents. And it's just so hopeful.
Hello and welcome back once again to the Out of Town podcast. I'm your host, Tova Khan, and I am here to present something totally new on the Out of Town podcast. In this episode, you are going to see a number of new faces. Some you might recognize, people who have come from across the world and changed their lives to be a part of the Jewish nation. This journey we can only begin to imagine. And their insight is some of the most beautiful and inspiring words that I've ever merited to hear. And it has been so hard to keep it just to myself. So let's go there. Hi, welcome back to the Out of Town podcast. I'm here with a very, very special guest. Chava Emuna came all the way from a different section of Ramat Beit Shemesh to meet me here in RBS Aleph. Do you mind introducing yourself and sharing what led you to discover Judaism and be moved enough to change your life for it?
My name is Chava Emuna. Some of you might know we go by House of Lev as well. Our family does a YouTube channel about our journey to Judaism and conversion. And how did we get about to that point of converting to Judaism? Well, we actually discovered Judaism through my husband's cousin, which was very interesting. We got a phone call one day from him, and he basically was just telling us some information that led us to the Torah, right? And led us to the Tanakh. And coming from a Christian background, we didn't have so much of the history of talking about the Tanakh because it was called the Old Testament. So we weren't studying and focusing so much on that. And that's what really stood out to us, was discovering the Tanakh and discovering about Moshe Rabbeinu, because we were talking about this other guy who is not the Mashiach. That was very intriguing to us. So that led us down the path to discover and go down the road of Judaism.
Hi, my name is Kassy Akiva, and I converted to Judaism almost 3 years ago now. And the main thing that started it was my first trip to Israel back in 2016, where I was just so inspired by all the people around me. I grew up in a non-religious household. You could call it Christian, but it wasn't really religious at all. Had never even opened a Bible until I was 18. But when I went to Israel when I was about 18 years old, and I just saw the Jewish community come together and how connected they were, it really, really inspired me. I remember going to the Kotel my first time and seeing all these women with, the sidors in their head, and they're just rocking back and forth and praying and connecting to Hashem. I was just so inspired. I just thought, I want to do that. I want to be able to pray like that. How do they feel so connected? For me, I knew that God was real, but I didn't know what that really meant, or how to connect, or how to pray, or, just how to have an authentic relationship. So that really, really inspired me. When I left that trip, I started learning about Judaism a lot, started studying with a rabbi, and here we go. 7 years later, I eventually completed my conversion process. So it was a really, really beautiful thing.
Hello, my name is Jonathan. The first thing that comes to mind, of course, is the Jewish people itself, the resilience and how they keep coming back and fighting back a bit against all odds and against all hardships that they have been through throughout history, and how they try to keep this legacy of Torah and Judaism alive.
Hi, my name is Naomi Leah, and I am a Jewish convert. What inspired me to learn more about Judaism actually was the concept that there is one God and one Torah. And then when I started to learn more, I learned that there were actually 613 mitzvot, commandments, and to me, that was 613 ways to connect with the Creator and with the community. And that connection eventually pulled me to begin my conversion process.
Hi, my name is Merhrvars. The thing that stood out to me most about Judaism was Shabbat. I was raised Muslim in the Islamic Republic of Iran, and every Friday, my father took me to Friday services. They were violent and filled with hateful rhetoric. When I learned that Shabbat is a time of rest, singing, and spending time with friends and family, that stood in such stark contrast to how I was raised. I was immediately drawn to it and knew that was the lifestyle for me.
What is something that you've noticed about the Jewish community, the Jewish world, now that you're a part of it?
Some people can agree and disagree, but overall, I would say that we are a unified community. I think what stood out so much was Shabbat. And that's something that my husband and I, we really wanted. That was actually one of the things that when we discovered we can actually convert to Judaism, that was what we wanted to be able to do because we were living our life like as Noahites. And you can't keep Shabbat. And so when we found out we can convert, we were like, we get to keep Shabbat. And I think it's so beautiful because Shabbat stands all around. It's all about family and community and closeness to Hashem and just unwinding from the daily things of life and not focusing so much on the daily things and just literally just resting. And I thought that was so beautiful.
Something that I've noticed about the Jewish community since converting was how diverse it is and how, this is going to be a little bit of criticism about how diverse it is, but, people aren't talking to each other. I feel like there's just so much, internal problems and people, lashon hara and all of this and, different groups think of this of somebody and this person's not doing enough and this person's doing too much. And it's just so hard to see. The Jewish community is so small. If there's just a little bit more unity, I feel like everyone would be more uplifted and better. So it's really hard for me as being somebody who saw the beauty of Judaism coming into it and just seeing how everyone's fighting for no reason. I mean, yes, there are reasons, but come on. They're things that we can get over, right?
I think even born Jewish people feel it, but in a sense, you got to prove yourself to everyone else, to society, that you can do great things in life and you are capable of it because you come from this chain of people, generations, and family that have done it, amazing, heroic deeds just to, again, keep this legacy and this bigger mission that is bigger than us.
Something I've learned about the Jewish community now that I'm a part of it is how incredibly diverse we actually are. And diversity means a lot of things, not just in race and color, but socioeconomic background and schools of thought. It's extremely diverse. The first time and only time I went to Israel was actually about 2 months after I converted. And I saw all these different kinds of peoples and communities because I was in Jerusalem and you get to see all kinds of Jews. And I was like, wow, look at how they observe mitzvot, how they observe the Torah. There's different ways to have a meaningful derech Torah life. And I just love that about us.
There's a sense of communal responsibility within the Orthodox Jewish community. When my wife gave birth, everyone in the community was so helpful, asking us what we needed and providing us with meals.
What is something that you wish that the Jewish community and the Jewish world would better understand?
The Jewish community or Jewish world is not so much educated when it comes to the diversity of the Jewish people. Mm. There are Jews everywhere around the world. And, obviously when you live in America, it's not that common sometimes that you'll see a Jew of color. It's here and there. But I think that in our schools, it's very important that we do educate about the different Jews all around. And even coming here in Israel, you'll be so surprised because sometimes we're set in just our own communities and boxes in a sense that we forget that there are Jews everywhere and they come in different colors, sizes, and shapes. So that's one thing that I really wish that, and I think that we could do better as a nation and as us, as the Jewish people, is educating ourselves more on just the diversity.
I wish the Jewish world understood that unity is important. And, one of the things I love doing, it's something that me and my husband do a lot, is we host Shabbat meals with singles who are not religious. And we want to connect them to, Hashem and do some kiruv, but we also want them to find other Jewish people that they can become friends with, because I think that's the key to getting people to be more observant and more connected, is by connecting to other Jews. I think that's just so important. So I wish the Jewish community did more of that, and they weren't afraid of, meeting other people. And this goes for all sorts of Jews. Just, come together, make friends. It's just such a beautiful thing to do.
I think we gotta do this mindset shift. Instead of thinking all the time negatively, or all these non-Jewish people hate us and they literally want us dead. We gotta think we have one another to cherish one another. And even harder to grasp is Hashem is with us. And it's hard because Hashem doesn't talk to you. He doesn't hug you like a normal person. But you gotta try to make peace with it and try to find your truth, instead of trying to change the whole world.
Something that I wish the Jewish world better understood is actually understanding that converts are more than just their conversion story. It's very meaningful and impactful. And also, we are we are Jews, you know. We just got here maybe a little bit slower than some from birth Jews, some Bali Tshuva. We're all Jews. We're all descendants of Abraham and Sarah.
Converts should not marry converts. When you convert, you are alone. Even if you are still on good terms with your family, you cannot go to them for chagim. For converts to truly be integrated into the community, they need to marry into established Jewish families.
It gives me so much joy to present okclarity.com to you once again as our incredible sponsor for the podcast. okclarity.com is the #1 resource for the Jewish world globally. We're talking psychologists, psychiatrists, coaches, emotion code, CST. You can search through providers listed based on location, insurance. You can watch videos uploaded by the professionals themselves so you have a better idea of who you're reaching out to. And if you are a mental health or wellness provider, make sure you are listed on okclarity.com so that the Jewish world knows how to find you.
Now that you're Jewish, what is something that has been like a positive, maybe unexpected thing to impact your life?
The fact that I had a place to call home called Israel, and that this is a land for the Jewish people, and that I didn't have that option before being Jewish. So I think for my husband and I, that was like mind-blowing to sit back and say, wow, our children and our future generations, they have a land to call home that's actually for the Jewish people.
Can I ask what you would say to people who maybe don't always remember to reflect on that?
You have to just go back to your roots and remember, what did our great sages, what did they talk about so much? They talked about Israel, they talked about the land, they talked about coming home. I mean, you think about the conversations that they used to have, our prophets used to have with Hashem. The first thing that will come up was to come back to your home, to come back to your land. And so I think it's just us kind of sitting with that and thinking of, you know, those moments of like, okay, that's a reminder. We do have a home. We have a land. Let's cherish that. And even if it's not something that we want immediately, of course, people have to get things in order and things like that. It should definitely be on our heart and a desire.
Definitely Emuna. I mean, I am such a type A person. And even during the conversion process, I just wanted control. I wanted to know when I was going to convert. I wanted to know when it was going to be done. I wanted to tell the rabbis I was ready. And it just was something that was not in my control. And life is not in your control. So I think just having Emuna and trusting in Hashem has been something that has positively impacted me and helped me cope with my very, very type A personality.
I didn't even grasp the change that is what it was going to be 10 years ago, but just basically everything is just better. I'm just happier. I'm just feel fulfilled, and I feel a sense of purpose, and that keeps me going every day.
Something that has surprisingly impacted my life in a positive way now that I'm part of the Jewish community is actually the accessibility of kosher food. And I'm not just saying that because I'm from the tri-state area. I mean, when I travel far and wide across the states, and I'm able to, I joke with my rabbi about this, I can always find Barcelona wine no matter where I go. I remember there was a weekend for my sister's college graduation, and I wanted to make sure that I had kosher wine, and we just went to the local grocery store that was selling, you know, had an alcohol license, and I found Bartender wine. I was like, this is great. In the middle of Pennsylvania, amazing. Same thing, I went to Nevada. When I went to Utah, there's always kosher food available. Might not be the best kosher food, but it's there. And even if you don't see kosher food in the grocery store, you can find a Chabad. Chabad is everywhere. So the accessibility is actually very, very nice.
After I converted, I didn't know that I could be both Persian and Jewish at the same time. Now, living in a Persian Jewish community, I am blessed that the Persians have their own minhagim, and we speak Persian together. My kids get to speak Persian to them, and we just have the Masorah that is 2,500 years old, and we continue to practice those.
for anyone who's undergoing the process of becoming Jewish, is there something that you would want to share with them?
I think that it's mostly important that you just literally trust the process when it comes to conversion, because people assume that there's going to be this ideal date and time that you're supposed to convert, but really, like, I tell people, I'm like, the Beit Din is not controlling your process. The Beit Din is a vessel from Hashem, and Hashem knows when that new neshama has to come down when you go in that mikveh, and that's Hashem planning that, not the Beit Din. So, like for us, our 2.5, we have many people, they're like, we're praying and like, this is taking too long. And I'm like, guys, it's not. It's not. And the Beit Din knows what they're doing. Again, they are a vessel from Hashem. Hashem uses them to be able to decide when these new neshamas need to come and be here. So I think it's just having lots of patience with it and just trusting the process.
And not being hard on themselves. No
Of
one should be
course.
hard on themselves if
No,
that happens and the
no.
date feels like it's like moving.
Yeah, and they shouldn't at all, because again, it's like it was the perfect timing for you and how it was supposed to be. And again, that's trusting Hashem. That's complete Emuna of knowing, like, okay, He has this time for me and He knows exactly what makes sense for me. And everybody's situation is different. So that's another reason why I said have patience, because people come from different backgrounds.
Right.
You're either going to you come from with a family, maybe you're single. You're wondering, why did the single convert in 18 months? Because it's a single. It's not a family. You're not dealing with children, and maybe a spouse is not 100% on the same page, so there's different
right.
circumstances and situations, and so you just trust it. And 2.5 years to learn Judaism when a born Jew is born Jewish and they're learning their whole entire life, I'm like, we're just getting started in our learning.
Wow.
So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate how open you're being. I think everyone in the Jewish world just appreciates it, because we're all just like, we're just so hungry for that connection and for authenticity, and just like for understanding that everyone's process is different, because it's something I think we all go through to different extents. And it's just so hopeful. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Amazing, of course.
So thanks.
All right.